Hello, hi everyone. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, so quickly let's start the session. In the last two weekends, we have tried to cover the enterprise structure in the first week, and last week we start with the master data, and we have covered the material master. So this week we'll be starting with the second master data, which is the business partner. So in last week I mentioned that we have a master data, which are material master, the supplier master, source list, PIR, all those things. So today we will be starting with the vendor master, but in SAP S/4HANA, we call supplier master as a business partner. So I'll tell you why it is called as business partner and why we have this. So before that, let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So as I mentioned, today's topic is regarding the business partner. Okay. So now what is this exactly a business partner? So business partner is a terminology which is introduced in S/4HANA. So as I mentioned, we have two systems. Initially, we had SAP ECC. Now we have SAP S/4HANA. So SAP ECC had the third-party database, and S/4HANA has their own database. So if you want more difference between ECC and S/4HANA, I have tried to cover that in the introduction session. You can go and check there. So in SAP ECC, we did not have this terminology which is called as business partner. So what we had is in ECC, we used to create the vendor separately, customer, and the employee separately. So for creating vendor, creating customer, creating employee, we had different transactions. So how we have the transaction MM01 to create a material, in the same way, to create the vendor, to create customer, to create employee, we have different transactions. So who is vendor? Vendor is nothing but who is going to supply the goods to us or the business. Whenever the business needs any goods, they can order from the vendor. For example, in a real lifetime, take an example of Amazon is your vendor. So whenever you need something, you go to Amazon, you order something from Amazon. So Amazon will deliver you the goods. So Amazon is your vendor. Okay. Then you have the customer. I think you all guys know who is customer and who is going to buy the material are the customers. Okay. And employee are nothing but who is working for that company is an employee. So these three are the master data. Vendor master comes under material management. Customer master comes under SD, sales and distribution. Employee master comes under HR module. So each and every master data are having different modules. So vendor is handled by customer is handled by SD, and employee is handled by HR. This was happening in ECC. So the transactions in ECC to create a vendor was XK01. For customer, it is XD01. For employee, it is PA30 or PA40. So these are the transaction codes to create vendor, customer, and employee in ECC. I'm not coming to S4 now. I'm still in ECC. In ECC, to create vendor, I use XK01. To create customer, we use XD01. And to create employee, we use PA30. Now, when this was happening, SAP thought of combining all these master data into single master data. The reason behind that is, for example, take an example of Amazon. In Amazon, there is an employee working. In Amazon, there is a person P1 who is an employee. He is working for Amazon and he is an employee for Amazon. Now, if this employee needs to buy anything from Amazon, he can buy, right? So the same person is also a customer. He is working for Amazon, and if he need to buy anything from Amazon, then he can buy. When he is buying the material from Amazon, he is a customer. When he is working for an Amazon, he is an employee. The same person can be employee and customer, right? And for example, if this person is having a small scale industry in the market, for example, he is supplying some keychains or something, a small scale industry, he is supplying some small materials with low value. In that case, assume that Amazon is also buying from him. So the same person can also be a vendor. A person who is working in Amazon is an employee for Amazon. And if he wants to buy anything from Amazon, then he is a customer. If the same person is having a business outside, then Amazon wants to buy that material from that person, then he will act as a vendor. So the same person P1 is acting as employee, customer, and vendor. There are a lot of cases like this where one person is acting as three master data like vendor, customer, employee. So what business thought and even proposed SAP is the same person is acting as employee, customer, and vendor. Why are we creating this into three master data using three transaction codes? If I want to create vendor, I want to go to XK01, fill all the information and save. If I want to create a customer, I go to XD01, again fill the same basic information and save. So it is taking a lot of time. So what SAP did is in S4 HANA, they introduced a concept called business partner. So business partner is nothing but it is a combination of vendor, customer, and employee. All these three things can be created in a single roof. That is called as business partner. Okay, what is business partner? Business partner is nothing but vendor, customer, employee. Having all these three master data in a single roof is called as a business partner. And the second thought of creating the business partner is also to avoid these all transaction codes. So creating vendor, customer, employee individually is taking a lot of effort. Creating one by one is a huge effort. So S4 HANA introduced a concept called business partner, where we can create all these three things in a single roof. It can be a legal entity, and it can also be an organization. Okay, so business can do selling, the same business can do buying. So if the company needs to create a supplier or they want to create a vendor for the same or a customer in the SAP system, first they need to create the business partner. The pre-check is first they need to create a business partner. and then they need to convert that business partner into customer or supplier. Okay, to procure the material or to purchase the material or services, they should and must convert the business partner into customer or vendor. Vendor to buy the material, customer to sell the material. Okay, so this is the business partner and why business partner came into picture and introduced. Okay, now if I go a bit deeper into business partner, now let me completely discuss only regarding the business partner. So business partner is having different levels. So what are the levels of business partner? So levels. So first level is the general data. Okay. So when I say general data, whenever you're creating a business partner, so how you create a material, so you always have seen how to create a material. You go to the transaction MM01, put all the information, and save. The material is created. In the same way, when you guys are going to create a business partner, we need to fill the general data first. You need to mention what is the name of the business partner, what is the address of the business partner, the contact details, all those things. So you need to fill the name, address, contact details, and you can also take a registration number or GST registration number, GST number. Bank details. Okay. So these all are the information which you will be filling in the general data. The data of the business partner is divided into three categories. The first one is the general data, where you are going to just fill the basic information. So for example, if you go to a bank, if you want to open a bank account, they give a lot of forms to you. So in first form, you will have all the basic information. So what is your name? What is your address, phone number, email ID? All those things are the basic information. So the general data is going to hold all the basic information. So when I mentioned the business partner is divided into three levels, the first level is general data. We have the second level, company code data. And the third level, purchase of data. So these all data are called as the BP rule. So this, and this is called as a BP rule. Whenever you create a business partner and you want to convert that to a vendor or customer, the BP role is going to help you to convert the business partner into vendor or customer. First, whenever you open a transaction to create a business partner, the system will defaultly give you a general data. The role for the general data is 6 zeros. Whenever you see the 6 zeros in the general data, sorry, in the BP role, then you need to assume that you are in the general data. So system will not tell you that you are in general data, you are in company code data, you are in purchase of data. You need to come, you will come to know based on the codes you see. So that is a BP role. Whenever the BP role is having 6 zeros, that is almost a default value which is selected. Whenever you open a business partner transaction, the 6 zeros will be a default value. Okay. So whenever you see the 6 zeros, then you need to keep in your mind that you are in the general data. Okay. Then coming to the company code data, you will be able to see FLVN00. These are very, very important. You should remember. System is going to differentiate and tell you that you are in company code data by this BP role saying that FLVN00. Whenever you see FLVN00, then you are in the company code data. Then for the purchase of data, you have another BP role, which is FLVN01. Okay, so these are the three BP role codes. So if you want to convert the business partner into vendor, then you should select this BP role and then convert it. When you see in system, it will be more clear for you. As of now, remember these codes. So these codes are called as the BP role. Okay. Now, once you create this general data, once you go to the 6 zeros and create the general data for the business partner, only the business partner is created. Now it is your decision that you need to convert this business partner into a vendor or customer or employee. That is left to you. So if the person is a supplier, then you will be converting it to supplier. If you're going to convert that to supplier, you should and must select this BP role, which is FLVN00. Only then the business partner will be converted into supplier. When these two roles are selected and fill the information, then you will be able to use this supplier to purchase the materials. Okay. So now we saw in general data, what are the important information. Now coming to company code data, we will see what are the important information. Okay. So, one second. Okay. So coming to the company code data, in company code data, the important information, what we need to remember is as of now, because going further, we will be introducing new fields. So first thing is the reconciliation account. Reconciliation account is nothing but your bank account. Whenever you see a word called reconciliation account, GL account, cost center, so all these are the finance terminologies and they are considered as the bank account. So first, I mentioned here you have the bank details here. This bank details is a supplier bank details. If supplier is having a bank account in any of the bank, for example, HDFC or ICICI Bank, then you are going to mention that bank details there, in which bank he has an account. But coming to company code data, you have the terminology called as reconciliation account. So reconciliation account is nothing but you are going to have or you are going to create a vendor account as a reconciliation account in your system so that the transaction will happen easily. So this is a finance terminology. Finance is going to have one account dedicatedly created for all the vendors, not only for a single vendor, for all the vendors, telling that from which account they need to pay to the vendor. So for example, if I go in the perspective of material master, if I go to the perspective of material master, so we said that we have different types of materials, raw material, semi-finished material, finished material, all those things. Now, I am purchasing raw material only from certain vendors. I am purchasing finished material only from certain vendors. I am procuring consumables from certain vendors. So I want to divide and pay the vendors. For all the raw material vendors, I want to pay from my SBI account. For all my finished material, I need to pay from my HDFC account. For all my consumables, vendors, I need to pay from my ICICI account. Why business will take this type of decision is based on that they can divide their expenditure. They can check their revenue. If you want to differentiate, if you want to go and check individually to which vendor how much you have paid, it is very difficult. And if you want to differentiate based on the material type, then it is going to be more difficult. You can still see for which vendor how much you have paid, but for categorizing like raw material vendors, finished material vendors, it is very difficult. So we have a reconciliation account saying that from this account I need to pay this vendor. So you can maintain that account there. So this is just one example. Like this, there are bit more examples which finance can take a call, even business can take a call. So that is the reconciliation account. Okay. Then we have the second field, which is very, very important, which is previous account number. Okay. Previous account number is nothing but, as I mentioned, here you have a reconciliation account. You are telling from which account you are paying to the vendor. Okay. Now, before SAP, the business was using another system. Before SAP, business was using another account or other system, like for example, legacy system. They were using Tally or they was using Excel. So they was using other softwares. So when they was using that softwares, they used to have another account. So for the just reference purpose, you can maintain that account number in this field, which is previous account number, just for a reference. Okay. Then you have the another field which is called as the payment terms. Payment terms are nothing but when should you pay the vendor? When you should pay the vendor? We can tell that we need to pay immediately, but there are concepts in order, there are some functionalities in business. They will not be paying immediately to the vendor. Whenever they are buying the material, they will have a contract with the vendor saying that they will be paying before 30 days or in 30 days, in 45 days, in 60 days. So defining this period, defining these terms is called as payment terms. The rules set for the payment are called as the payment terms. Then we have the check double invoice. Check double invoice is one more important field which is going to help us to understand if I'm going to post a double invoice. For example, I am making a purchase with vendor. Now vendor has sent an invoice with the number 0001. Okay, I posted this invoice in the system. Now the same vendor will send an invoice with the same number 0001. He should have sent another number, but by mistake he has sent the same number which is 0001. If I don't enable this checkbox, system will still allow you to post that invoice. To make system secure, to make account secure, we need to activate this functionality, which is check double invoice, so that the finance person will not be able to post the same invoice number again in the system. That is the functionality of this check double invoice. Then we have payment method. Payment method is nothing but how are we going to pay the vendor? Through check, through cash, or through UPI, how you are going to pay. Even that should be defined in a system. So these all are the common fields which will be used by all the business. whenever we try to convert the business partner into supplier at company code level. In company code level, you will be discussing only regarding the financial terminologies. Okay. So in company code level, you will be seeing all the financial terminologies, all the payment terminologies. So in company code data, you'll entirely enter the finance nodes. That BP role is called as FLVN00. Now coming to the main role, which is FLVN01, which is the purchase organization node. We have a lot of details which are important in the purchase organization node BP role. So this is completely handled by So here we don't need any team support. For example, for basic data, we need supplier support. For company code data, we need the FI support because all are related to the financial and the payment terms. Now coming to the purchase of data. Purchase of data is completely related to the purchasing. How are we going to purchase the material and in which currency are we going to purchase all those things? The first thing in the purchase of data, which is important, is the currency. Vendor currency, or I can tell order currency. So now your company is in India, for example, and you are doing a domestic purchase. The vendor is in the same country, vendor is in India, and you are also in India. So you will be buying it in INR. So you need to define in which currency are we going to buy the material. Is it INR or any other currency? Assume that the supplier is in another country, for example, US, and you need to place the orders or you need to buy the material in the currency of USD. So you need to mention the order currency is USD. So what currency you maintain here? So system will decide that you are going to buy from vendor in this currency. So currency will not be picked from company code level when you're placing a purchase order. Currency will be picked from the vendor master. Okay. Again, in the purchase of data, you have the payment terms. Because this payment terms is related to the financial. This payment terms is related to the purchasing. Okay. Then you have the GR-based invoice verification. This GR-based invoice verification is going to decide when are we going to pay the vendor. For example, think that this GR-based invoice verification is also going to decide, are you going to pay the vendor after the goods is received? And are we going to pay the vendor before we receive the goods? So let me explain that. Sorry. So let me go to the other sheet. Let me explain this GR-based invoice verification a bit, because this is very important for both finance and procurement. So GR-based invoice verification. This GR-based invoice verification is going to decide a three-way match and two-way match. So what is this three-way match and two-way match? When I say three-way match, if we want to pay the vendor, system will check the PO, GR, and the invoice. For example, a PO is placed for 100 rupees and GR is also posted for 100 rupees and invoice is also posted for 100 rupees. Then there is no discrepancy. Everything is matching. The payment will happen. Suppose, take the same example. The PO is placed for 100 rupees. GR is done for 100 rupees. And invoice is sent by vendor for 120 rupees. In this case, this is a payment block because there is no match. The three terminologies here are matching, so payment will happen. The three terminologies here are not matching, so payment will not happen. So this is called as three-way match. So if you want to activate this three-way match, then you need to activate this GR-based invoice verification. If you don't activate this three-way match, then system will auto take the two-way match. Two-way match is nothing but PO and the IR. It will not consider the goods. In first case, in three-way match, only if you receive the goods, only then the payment will happen to the vendor. So you'll place a purchase order, vendor should send the goods, vendor should send the invoice. If everything is matching, then I'll pay the vendor. In two-way match, we will be having a PO. The vendor is not sending the goods immediately, but he's sending the invoice. And invoice is getting posted. If there is no GR also, the invoice will get paid or vendor will get paid. That is two-way match. Most of the business will not go for this two-way match. They will go with this three-way match. Because if everything is matching, only then they want to pay the vendor. So for that reason, they go with this three-way match. So whenever someone tells you GR-based invoice verification, then you should remember the three-way match and two-way match. Okay, so this is going to decide when are we going to pay the vendor and how are we going to pay the vendor. Okay, then 1 second. Then we have the other terminology, which is a purchasing group. You all know what is purchasing group. Purchasing group is nothing but a group of people or a single person. Okay. Then you have the vendor schema group. The vendor schema group is going to decide what is the pricing of the supplier. Is vendor going to give the discount? Is vendor is having a tax? Is vendor is giving any additional charges? Is vendor is delivering the goods himself? So these are the things what this vendor schema group tells. Then we have one more important terminology, which is Incoterms. These Incoterms are mostly used in the import and export scenarios. So whenever you're sending the goods out of the country or receiving the material from other country, then Incoterms is going to decide who is going to handle what. For example, now you're going to buy the material from another country, for example, China. You are going to transport the material from the port to port. So that is from ship. So who is going to own the loading charges? Who is going to bear the unloading charges? Who is going to pay the ocean freight? So all those things are decided by these Incoterms. The Incoterms are not designed by SAP consultant. Incoterms are standard. Incoterms are government standard. It is an international standard. Okay. So these are the three levels of business partner. One is the general data, company code data, and the purchase of data. And these are the important fields what we have in these three levels. Okay. Now, we said that in general data, we will have 6 zeros. In company code data, we will have FLBN 00. And in purchase of data, we will be having FLBN 01. Now, there could be a case. One supplier is working for multiple company codes, or one supplier is working for multiple purchase of data. So supplier is created in one general data, and it can be extended for multiple company codes and multiple purchase organization data. In that case, all this information can be different. All this information can be different from company code to company code, purchase order to purchase order. Okay. So these are the levels of business partner. Before I move further, if you have any questions, you can ask.
Sir, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, sir. What is the full form of GR, sir?
Sorry, full form of
GR.
goods receipt.
No, GR account, you are telling GR account like that, no? So,
Yeah, GR is nothing but the goods receipt. So whenever you are ordering something and if you're receiving it, then to acknowledge you have received it, they will do the goods receipt.
thank you, sir.
Okay. Incoterms are nothing but it is an international standard, as I mentioned. It is only applicable for the import and export. So whenever we are buying the material from other country, so there are a lot of charges. So getting the material from vendor factory to the port is one activity, and loading those material into the container is one activity, and loading that container into ship is one activity, and paying the ocean freight is one activity. So there are a lot of activities coming in supplier end. And when that ship is reaching buyer place or buyer port, for example, Indian port, from there, we need to again unload it, take that material from port to the factory. So there are a lot of activities. So who is going to bear that charges? So those are not small charges, right? If you're buying one item and one item is just costing you 100 rupees and additional charges is costing you 150 rupees, like unloading charges, loading charges, ocean freight. If all those things are charging you more, then who is going to bear that charges? So that is decided by the Incoterms. So Incoterms are like X work, EXW. When you see EXW, that means it is paid by the buyer. The buyer is going to pay the charges. You have FCA. FCA is nothing but the supplier is going to bear the charges. You have FOB. In that case, till it reaches the buyer port, it is handled by the supplier. After it reaches the buyer port, from there the buyer is going to own the ownership of the material. So these are the Incoterms which are internationally designed. That is not designed by consultant, as I mentioned, it is internationally designed. That is standard. Any more questions? Yeah, I'll check that error. I'll check that error when this class gets finished. I can take it in middle right. I saw your message initially only. I'll take this at the end of the session. Okay. So if let me move forward. Now we discuss regarding what are the different types of levels of business partner we have. We also discuss regarding the GR-based invoice verification. GR is nothing but goods receipt. Now, if I tell the transaction to create the business partner, so for creating a material, we had a transaction which is MM01. And to create the business partner, we also have a transaction which is BP, which is the business partner. Okay, so using this transaction, we will be creating a business partner and we will convert this business partner into a customer or supplier or an employee. So as I mentioned initially, supplier is converted by the consultant, which is we, or it can also be done by the end user. Customer is converted by the SD consultant or SD end user. Employee is converted by the HR consultant or a HR end user. So first we will start with the business partner. So business partner is having a three levels, as I mentioned. It is general data, it is company code level data, and the purchase of data. Now, business partner is also categorized into three categories. The first category is the person. The second category is the organization. The third category is group. So why are these categorized into these sections? Now, if you're going to create as an individual person, so as I mentioned, business partner is customer, vendor, employee, right? So if you're going to create an individual person, for example, employee is an individual person. If you're going to create an individual person, an employee, then you should always select the person category and create the business partner. When you try to create a business partner, system will ask you in which category do you want to create the business partner. So based on the criteria, based on the rules you have, so whenever you're going to create a single person, then select the person. Okay. Then you have the second thing is the organization. If you are having any business or a group of people are working into it, if it's a group of people or group of companies, or you can also call them as a legal entity, then you can use the organization category. It can be created by using an organization system. There are very more chances you use this organization because all these vendors, customers are created under this organization. An employee is created under the person. Okay, then you have the third category, which is group, which is rarely used. So group is nothing but if you want to create a consulting group, a manpower group, you will be using this group section, but it is not used, it is rarely used. Okay, so all these vendors and customers are created under this organization. Okay, so we will be using this category to create vendors. Okay, now we said that we are going to also create an employees. In some cases, the employees are also going to be the suppliers. In that case, you might have a question. Now we are going to create an employee in person. We are going to create suppliers in organization. If suppose, if employee is created under in person, can we create that employee into an organization also? Yes, you can create. All the employees can be created under an HR module. HR module is going to create the employees. Employees can be converted as in suppliers. So what HR module people will do, HR module people will create the employee in a person and hand over that business partner to the MM people. And MM people are going to extend those business partner to the supplier. Okay. So this is very, very important. If you don't convert the employee into supplier, you will not be able to do the business. So normally, if employee needs to buy anything, he needs to be converted as a customer. If employee needs to sell anything, then he need to convert that into supplier. Okay. So now we understood what is business partner. We understood what are the business partner levels. We understood what is business partner categories. Now we need to understand how are we going to differentiate or categorize the business partner or categorize the suppliers. First, let's discuss how are we going to categorize the business partner. So what is the meaning of categorizing? How are we going to differentiate what are the different types of business partners we have? If I go back to material master, in the material master, we differentiated the material into different categories like raw material, semi-finished material, finished material. So we categorized into different sections. So in the same way, why we categorize that materials? To make the differentiation of the revenue, to have the different settings, and to make the reporting easy. Right? There are a lot of reasons why we made that we discuss in the material master. In the same way, if you want to differentiate the suppliers, we are going to differentiate the suppliers or business partners using VP grouping. BP grouping is a terminology which is used to differentiate or categorize the business partner. This is for BP. To differentiate the suppliers, we have one more terminology which is called as vendor account group. This is for vendor or suppliers. To categorize business partner, we are using BP grouping. To categorize the vendors, we are using vendor account group. Same as material type. Depending upon the nature of material, we decided how are we going to differentiate the material types based on the materials. Same case is also applied for the business partner. If you want to create a business partner, first you need to select the BP grouping. First, you need to segregate the business partners into different categories. And whenever you're creating a business partner, you need to first select in which category are we going to create this business partner. Okay, then we are going to convert this business partner into supplier. Then we are going to differentiate or categorize a supplier there. So there are two categories. One is business partner category, one is the vendor account group category. When I say BP grouping, you are going to use it for categorizing the business partner, and you're using vendor account group for categorizing the supplier. How does this work in system? So there is a mapping between these two. So you are mapping BP grouping and the supplier account group or vendor account group in the configuration. Sorry. The mapping and the configuration which we'll be seeing in tomorrow's class. As of now, just understand that to make this BP grouping categorized, to categorize the business partner, to categorize the vendor account group, we will be using this BP grouping and vendor account group individually. And to categorize in two ways, we will be using this mapping. Okay, so we will be using this BP grouping and create a business partner. Once this BP grouping is created, we will use the BP roles, which is FLBN00 and FLBN01, and convert this to vendor. When we are converting this to vendor, we will be seeing this vendor account group coming into picture. Once this is converted to suppliers, the address section all are going to get saved in a table. So in SAP, we have different types of tables. So whatever we create in SAP system are getting stored in the table. So take an example of your system or laptop, anything. Whenever you create an Excel sheet, whenever you are going to create an Excel sheet and filling the information in the Excel sheet, all the information are going to get stored in your ROM for some time. First, it is going to save in the RAM. And then when you save and store it, then it is going to the ROM. In the same way, whatever you create in SAP system, that is going to save in the database. So how the system is going to differentiate this data is for supplier, this data is for material. So for that, we have a concept called table and field. We also saw this table and field in the material master to when we was configuring the field selection. So each and every field in the material master is having a name. So some fields, for example, the basic data fields are saved in one table. The plant information are stored in one table. In the same way, in SAP for business partner, whenever you're creating a vendor general data. So I said we have general data, we have company code data, we have purchase of data. So general data is stored in the table LFA1. Company code data is stored in LFB1. Purchase org is stored in LFM1. So these are the three tables which you need to remember. So the information of the vendor is getting stored in this table. Okay. So these are the basic information regarding the business partner and vendor account group and vendor master. So this is the front end part. So now we will see how the business partner looks in system and how are we going to create those. As I mentioned, we will be using the transaction business partner to create the business partner. So let me quickly log into SAP system and show how we are going to create the business partner in system. In the meanwhile, I log in. If you guys have any questions, you can ask me. In the meanwhile, I'll log into SAP. Any questions? Okay. If no questions, then let me go to the transaction, which is called as BP. So I don't prefer you guys to create the business partner today. Suppose we do the configuration tomorrow. You can first do the configuration and then create the business partner. Okay. As soon as I open the business partner transaction, you can see here we have an option called person, organization, and the group. So these are the business partner categories. So in which category are we going to create the business partner? So as I mentioned, if we are going to create an employee, we will be using this person. If you are going to create a customer or vendor, we will be using this organization. So let me click on this organization. So as soon as you click on this organization, this will take you to one screen, which is the business partner creation screen. So here you have the business partner number. So it is same as the material master. If you have the external number range, you can enter the business partner number manually. If you have internal number range, then the system will propose or system will give you the number automatically. Okay. Then you have the BP role here. BP role is nothing but, as I mentioned, it is going to decide if it is a general data, it is a company code data, and the purchase of data. And I also mentioned that for general data, it is going to be 6 zeros. You can see 6 zeros here. And these 6 zeros are going to be the general data. And these 6 zeros are also going to be the defaulted. Whenever you open a business partner transaction, these 6 zeros are the defaulted value. Okay. Then you have the grouping here. This grouping is the business partner grouping. BP grouping. If you want to differentiate or if you want to categorize this grouping of the business partner, you can use this BP grouping. So I'll select this BP grouping. As of now, I'll take the standard one. Okay, I'll take the standard one. And here you have the, as I mentioned, in BP grouping general data, that is 6 zeros. You will have all the basic information. The name, for example, I fill the name. So let me take this as a batch. 15 vendor. You can fill, if you have big name, you can use these fields also. Search term. Put the address. Postal code. What is your city, country, and the region. If you want to fill more sections, you have this plus symbol. If you open this, you will have all the information like what is your building name, what is your building code, what is the street, if you have any district, if you are using a transportation, what is the transportation zone you have. Okay, when you have TM, then this comes into picture. And you have the post box details, complete post box details, and you also have the communication information. How are we going to communicate to the suppliers? Is he going to use an English language? What is the telephone number? What is the mobile number, fax number, email? For example, mobile number, fax number. Okay, and the email. So these are the communication information. So whenever you want to communicate to suppliers, you don't want to go again and search where the details are. You can have the details here in the supplier master or in the business partner. Okay, if you have any additional phone number, you can maintain those here. After you fill all the address information, that address will flow here. So this is your standard address. So this is your standard address. If the vendor is having different address, like he is having his billing address, his billing persons are sitting in one address, his warehouse is in one place, his head office is in one place, then you can create this address like billing address, delivery address. If you want to return anything within the supplier, where you want to return. So if all the address are same for supplier, then you can leave this as standard address. Okay, to create, go to billing address, click on create. You can fill the address here. Okay,
So sorry to interrupt. Is this created by end user or
End user.
okay?
So the backend section will always be done by the end user. So in the master data class, what we are doing is in Saturday's session, we will be showing the backend, sorry, in front end, what an end user will be doing. And in Sunday's class, if the end user is seeing this in the front end, what we should be doing in the back end, that will be showing in the Sunday's class. That is the reason I said, today don't create the business partner. Tomorrow do the configuration, what we show for business partner, and then create your business partner.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then you have this identification. In the identification, you will be able to fill what type of industry is it. For example, if you're doing a manufacturing industry, it is an oil and gas industry, you can fill the vendor's industry, not your industry, it is a vendor's industry. Okay, for example, let me take oil and gas, and it is going to be standard industry. And if I scroll down, you have the identification number. So this identification number is nothing but your GST number. So India is having a GST number. So other countries are going to have the VAT number. So if I scroll down, here you'll be able to see some TIN number and external system number, or what is your MRP area number. If you are using Ariba, then Ariba number. So these are your identification number. So how a supplier needs to be identified. If you have any government license, if you have any PAN, if you have a legal entity, then you can put this information. This depends and varies from industry to industry and from country to country. Okay. Then you have the tax information here. Each and every company will have a tax information, a tax code that can be filled here. Okay, once again. Then we have the control information. Here you will be able to differentiate what type of business partner it is. It is a domestic, or he is an employee, or he is a sales agent. So just to differentiate and categorize, this is not much important. The main important field is this, the payment transaction. Here we are going to have the bank details. So for example, in which countries is he having an account? For example, India. So I scroll down. And pick India. Bank key, what is the bank name? So you have all the bank names here. For example, let's take ICICI. What is the bank account number? And SIM. You can have the multiple accounts here. So finance can decide to which account they need to pay the amount. If you are going to do the card payment, you can also enter your debit card or credit card number here so that you can do the card to card transaction. Okay. Then you have the status here. This status is going to tell you that what is the status of this business partner. Now we are not still in supplier master. We are still under the business partner. Okay. So what is the status of business partner? It is blocked, or it is used, or it is not released. Where are we? So that is the status part. So after we fill all this important information, then we can save this. After we save, a business partner number will get generated, which is this. So now the business partner is created, not when vendor is not created, just the business partner is created. Okay. Now, if we need to convert this business partner, now it is completely a business call. This business partner can be converted to an employee. It can be converted to a customer. It can be converted to supplier. As we are consultant, let's convert this to supplier. If we need to convert this to supplier, as I mentioned, we need to extend this for the company code data and the purchase of data. So to extend this to company code data and purchase of data, we need to select the BP role, which is FLVN00 and FLVN01. So where can we find that BP role? So if you go to the BP role and see the drop down, you are not able to see anything right now because you are in the display mode. If you want to see all the BP role, then you need to go to the edit mode. This is very, very important. I received a lot of questions on this previous batch. Why are we not seeing the BP role here? This is because you are in the display mode. You can see here display organization. When you are in display mode, you will not be able to see anything. If you want to see the BP role, then you need to go to the change mode. If you want to go to change mode, this is the icon. You can switch the screen from display to change and change to display from here. And also you can do it from here. You have two options. Anything is fine. So click on this or click on this. So if I click on this, then from display, I'm in change mode. Now, if I see the drop down, I'll be able to see all the roles. So start typing FLVN00. So it is here. If I select this role, now initially I'm into general data. You can see at the up, focus on this. So we have the general data here. Now, as soon as I select this FLVN00, it will get converted to the company code. You can see the company code came into picture. Initially, when I was in 6 zeros, which is in general data, this company code was not there. When I selected this FLBN00, the company code came. And also the tabs got extended. Okay, so now we are in general data. So here we have the vendor account group, SUPL. So how this vendor account group is coming based on the mapping I said. So as soon as I select this FLBN00, the suppliers are getting categorized into different category. That category is named here, but you are not deciding it how to categorize when you're creating. That should be categorized at the configuration level, which is done by the consultant. That we'll be seeing tomorrow. So this is the company code data. You can check everything what are important. Now I go to the company code data, which is important here. I'm going to tell now in which company code is this supplier will be used. So I'll tell in this company code I want to use the supplier. Click enter. As soon as I click enter, the below fields will get enabled. So first thing what you have is the reconciliation account. The reconciliation account, as I mentioned, is the account from which account you want to pay the vendor. So as of now, we have only one account, so use this. This is not created by us. This is created by finance. Okay. And if I scroll down, you have the previous account number. This is just a reference data to just see what is the previous account number which was used to do the payments to the supplier. Now you are using an Excel, for example, or you're using Tally. Vendor is receiving the payments every day. Suddenly you are going to switch from Tally to S4HANA and you have a new account coming into picture. Now vendor will receive the payment from the same account but from different name. So supplier might question why I am receiving the payment from this account before I used to receive from this account. Then we need to have a justification saying that this was my previous number. Now I have converted to this number. For example, this was my previous number. From this account, I used to pay my money. Now I have switched to SAP, so I have this new number, so I'll be paying from this account. Why we are using this is, we are using a lot of vendors. For example, 1,000 to 4,000 vendors. I have seen 6,000 to 8,000 vendors in one of the business. So if 8,000 vendors are asking the question, so how can you answer those? You cannot go back to your old system and check, right? So that is the reason for reference purpose, you're going to maintain the data here. That is your personal account number or previous account number. Then here in the payment transaction, you have an option called terms of payment. When are we going to pay the vendor? Is it after 30 days, 45 days, 60 days? So we have here 8 days, 15 days, 30 days, 45 days, 60 days. when are we going to pay the vendor? So based on this, the finance will get a notification, or they will get notified saying that on this date, we will be paying the vendor after the goods are delivered. So for example, if I select 60 days, after the goods are delivered, after only 60 days, he will get paid. Okay. Then we have this check double invoice. Check double invoice, as I mentioned, you will not be able to post multiple invoices to the same number. Payment method. How are we going to pay the vendor? Using check, cash, or bank transfer. If you want to do all these things, then select these all three and click on enter. So you'll be able to do all the payments. Payment block. If you don't want to do the payment to this vendor for a certain period, you can block this. Why are you going to block? So your vendor will not get paid. So these all are the payments terminology. These all are the payment information. Okay. And if you want to block the vendor at the company code level or at the payment level, so you can do this here in the vendor status. And I'll save this. As soon as I say save, company code data also will get created. As soon as we create those, you will be able to see an option called maintained. When you see this option called maintained in the bracket, that means you have entered the value in this role. Okay. Then we are with the second role, which is FLVN01, which is the purchase organization data. In this purchase organization data, initially we had company code, now we have purchasing. Okay, I go to purchasing. In the purchasing, it will ask you for the purchase organization. So I'll put the purchase organization, put your purchase organization here. Order currency. In which currency you want to buy the material? I'll say INR as of now. Whatever currency you put here, the vendor will be paid in this currency. Payment terms. I'll put 0001. 0001 is nothing but I want to pay immediately. And I have Incoterms here. So Incoterms are nothing but Incoterms is going to decide who is going to bear the charges. As I mentioned, we have X work, where supplier is going to where buyer is going to bear all the prices. We have FCA, where supplier is going to deliver you the goods. You have FOB, where till the boarding he will take care, and from there we need to take care. We have DDP, the duty will be paid. The customs duty will be paid by vendor. DDU, the custom duty is not paid by vendor, it should be paid by buyer. So these all are the international standards. Okay. Then if I scroll down, you have this GR-based invoice verification. So this decides, are we going for 3-way match or the 2-way match? Okay. Apart from this, we have this purchasing group. We have this planned delivery time. Planned delivery time is nothing but in how many days is a vendor is going to deliver you the goods. If I tell 10 days, this vendor is going to deliver all the goods which he supplies in 10 days. Okay. So these are some important fields. So we have a lot of fields here. We will explore all the fields in some more days, because for each and every topic, we will again come back to material master. We will again come back to vendor master and start creating the materials and vendors. For example, if I'm going to special procurement, I'll use different nodes, different fields. If I'm in creating consignment, then I'll be using a different fields which are important for those. So I don't want to complicate it right away. So you can use this basic fields as of now, and then going forward, we'll explore more fields in the supplier master. And if I save this, the supplier is saved. If you want to see the supplier number, you can go to vendor general data. This is your vendor number. So this vendor number and this business partner number can be same, can be different. We have different set of configuration for that. We will see that tomorrow. How can we have this number same? How can we have this number different? As of now, it is different. So business partner is 32977. So vendor is 32962. Okay. Now, if you want to see the vendors which are created by your name, or if you want to see the list of vendors, so for report, for material you, we have MM60. For vendor, we have the transaction MKBZ. MKBZ. MKBZ is a transaction where you can see list of suppliers. You can put your supplier number and execute. So you'll be able to see the supplier number here. Okay. So this is how we create the supplier, and this is what the business partner and the vendor master is. So tomorrow we will see how to do configuration for this vendor master and create the real vendor. Okay. Any questions?
So what is that transaction? Can you please repeat it again?
It's MKBZ. You can see it here. I'll type it here. Any questions? Okay. If you guys don't have any questions, so Soumya, can you give your material type and your plan to me to check why you are getting a material ledger activation error? Z001 is your plant or material type? Okay. So first check, let me go to MM01 and try to create a material. So C1 is Z001 is your material type. And the industry sector. Okay, you have only the basic views enabled here. Why not the other views? So you also need to change this, or I see only the basic data. So you don't have purchasing view, you don't have the accounting view, you don't have the plant view. So all this needs to be extended. You get this error because your plant is not activated or the quantity and value is not updated. So I go to the material type. So Z001. So then inside this, so you have only the basic data. So I'm activating accounting view, purchasing view, storage, plant stock. This as of now. Later on, you can change if required. Okay, I go to quantity and value update. And your company, your plant is C1, and it is activated. Okay. Let me try to create now. Okay. Now I'm able to go inside this. So let me check if I have the material ledger activated. Okay. I have this material ledger activated. You can go ahead and create your material. Any more questions?
Sir, I had asked, like, what if company wants to have material template with company code, like without leading zeros?
Yeah, without leading zeros, you can have it, but the condition is you need to have the number range like this. Let me show that. You should have the number range like this with a big number range. So what happens? 1, 2, 3, 4. Your first 4 digit will be your company code. Your second 4 digit will be your plant. Your next 3 digit is going to be your material type, and next digit will be your material code. So you need to select a number range in this way
Okay.
so that it will fulfill your requirement. But in our system, it is not possible because all the numbers are consumed.
Okay, if in a consultant perspective, while creating a number range, I have to create like that, and
Yes,
then I can give the template in that form.
yes. And
Okay.
when you put hyphen, that is also considered as one number.
Okay. And sir, what if like business wants like custom fields as per their need? Like,
Custom fields needs to be developed by the developer. So you need
okay,
to gather the requirement from business and understand why they need that field and where they need that field. Based
okay,
on that, you need to communicate that to the technical team, so the developer. So the developer will place the field in that place where you show them. That is not a big enhancement, it is small enhancement.
okay. And what is meant by field reference number, sir? Like it can be same as my plant number or it can vary.
Field reference number, where did you see this in the material type or
In the material type, sir.
okay. So field reference number is going to be your field selection group. If you're going to create a field selection group, then maintain that field reference number there. That is nothing but your field selection.
So it can vary, sir.
Yeah, it can vary from material type to material type. That depends on the business requirement. If business wants to hide some fields for raw material, they can do that and maintain that field reference in your material type. In finished material, they want to see that field, but not in raw material. Then the field selection is going to be different for both material type, right? In that case, it will vary.
Okay. And coming to external number ranges, it is that number we can manually enter.
Yes. The external number range is the manually entered number. You can enter it manually.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Sir, last week exercise I have done. Could you check my number if it okay or not, please?
Sorry, which one?
last week of homework I have to done for creating material type.
Yeah, I checked your material and confirmed, right? It is fine.
Okay, H13 material.
Yeah, that is fine.
Okay, sir, thank you. But only one difficulty is, I messed up about for creating for number ranges, sir. That's I don't understand.
Yeah,
In
that's what
how,
I said. The number range you cannot create in our system
uh,
because our system is having all the number ranges already created.
okay, sir. Okay, sir, thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, one more question.
Yes.
If I'm creating for material master, industrial sector is mandatory or
It is mandatory.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. If no questions, then we will wrap up here. We will meet tomorrow to see how are we going to configure the business partners. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.